Okay.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this morning. The discussion had actually started earlier than it should, but that's of course what we are all about here at SMART24TV. My name is Anthony, and a very good morning to you wherever you're watching us from. And this is of course the #1 business channel in East Africa. We do of course provide business 24/7 business content, and we of course aim at growing the different sectors of our economy to a point of course where we can enjoy a lot of benefits that come from a population that is employed, a population that has money in their pockets, and of course government being able to as well provide social and economic services to its people. Now of course today we are live on our channel on YouTube at SMART24TV Live, and you can as well check us on Twitter. The hashtag is the point, and the handle is at SMART24TV. So if you want to come into the show, contribute to the show in any way, you please get to our social media and get us that feedback. It will be quite handy. And of course today, being a weekend, we are also going into the back to school season. And we have, of course, not to skip the attention of the students there who are going back to school, and a lot of them, going into the new system and getting into new levels. Some, of course, being in a season where release of UNEB results is also on the rise. There are so many things that we need to look at in our education system, and today we decided to take it to the education sector and get to discuss some of the pertinent issues that are in our education system. Now, currently, there's no scarcity of initiatives of government that are there to address youth unemployment. The Ugandan government has come up with several initiatives to address the problem of unemployment. And well-intentioned donors have established programs in the country as well, aimed at putting young people at work. But unfortunately, when you diagnose the problem of unemployment in Uganda, the current figures are not as alarming. However, there's still more to do in this sector. And currently, Uganda's population has one of the youngest populations in the world, with over 78%, arguably more than that, being young people aged between 15 and 35. And that, of course, means that we have a very strong labor force and a very strong people that actually are ready to work and are willing and able to work. But unfortunately, unemployment rate currently generally stands at 9.2%, while the unemployment rate for the youth in particular is a little bit higher at about 13.3%. Now, this is, of course, not depicting the entire picture, because when you look at the employed people, some of them are underemployed or are employed informally in the informal sector, meaning they are not being utilized. And every single year, Uganda releases between 400,000 to 800,000 graduates out into the job market, which only affords 80,000 new jobs a year. So where is the missing gap? Why aren't our young people utilizing their full potential? And today, of course, we discuss that and more concerning the education sector. This is the point. And I am joined by two gentlemen on this show, and a very special gentleman to me, and of course to the discussion here. And this is Mr. Mulindwa Patrick. He is a journalist and a Chief Executive Officer of Youth Entrepreneurship, Sparks. And there's a lot about him that he will tell us later on, but you'll find him very, very interesting. Also, I'm joined by Dr. Nsamba Hussein. Yes, I did do a mistake there. It's a PhD holder, a gentleman and a professor from Makerere University, where of course he lectures in the Department of Chemistry. You're most welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'll start with you, Mr. Mulindwa.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself and what has been happening. I know we last met last year in 2022. Tell us what's up. What's happening in your 2023 currently?
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And Happy New Year to the team here, Mr. Khan, well done, and the whole management and the employees of Smart24. Thank you so much. I think for me, you're doing such a wonderful job. providing direction of the most important. There's nobody in the whole of this country and the world that does not think about money, because money is such a very wonderful thing, very important. It's an essential in all our life. So thank you so much for picking out that part that allows us to know how to actually make money, and then to facilitate other parts of our life. Youth Entrepreneurship Spark is a social enterprise, and we are basically, our conviction is that every young person has got what it takes to become. And what education has done to many is to render them either disabled because of the poor grades. Like if you get bad grades, the education system renders you disabled. But one thing we know, that God created everybody with a lot of energy, with everything they need to become, to succeed and to live in this life honorably, and also make a positive impact to their communities and families. So in the past years, our focus has been on finding some answers around education. And that's why for me, this conversation is very, very important. Because we knew that there's no business that does not start from an idea, and then that idea is built into products, and those products are usually facilitated by a specific skill. So understanding the skill, then those that build into the businesses, that is where our focus has been specifically for education. We took on a mantle about 3 years ago, specifically the years before COVID, and looking at this question of education. In so many years, a number of Ugandans had said there's a problem about education in Uganda. But they seem to be quite very, the government did quite a lot. But private sector, I mean, if you ask who runs the show in business in Uganda, private sector does. Yeah. You know, government usually provides the environment. So when people in private sector usually do not, their contribution is at times insignificant. You cannot see it. The MPs will be told to go out there and do research and consultations. But if everything we did or wanted to do in this country was based on the consultations and honest consultations of the private sector, we would solve most of our problems in the smallest time. So we took on a mantle to find the problem, and we found a problem. The problem is the education is teacher-centered. It only starts when the bell rings, and learning starts and stops when the bell rings, and it only happens in class. And then the other thing is, the moment you get bad grades, then you are disqualified, and that affects you almost the rest of your life. So you think you are a nobody, and yet there is evidence of the local and international businesses that were created by uneducated people. In that way, we do not necessarily debunk education, but we think it should be revised. We should go around it and find a way where this education is driven by the student. It is student-centered, and that education should happen anywhere, anytime, and with anyone. Yeah. Yes. Wow. So I'm glad to be here, and I know that it's going to be a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for your invitation.
You're most welcome. Doctor, you're most welcome to the show. I know it's the first time we're interfacing on this platform. Tell us about your year 2023 so far. And I know you being in the academic world, it's a little bit upbeat here and there, but tell us about it.
Thank you, Anthony, for hosting me here at Smart Television, and I'm happy to render my utmost deliberations on this platform, especially to touch a life or two. As far as myself is concerned, Hussein Skinsamba are my names, and I'm a double doctor of philosophy in engineering, and at the same time I teach at the University Makere. I also manage Invasion Plus Group, which is a conglomerate of business enterprises that run and operate in Uganda, But to begin with, we have primary school, which is the first technopreneur school in the country.
Wow.
And the idea is to combine entrepreneurship and innovation in as well as primary education is concerned. So when Anthony invited me to this program, I really realized that there is need to increase awareness in as far as what needs to be corrected or what is not right in as far as the mindset, the orientation, the propagation, and the dissemination of the knowledge and information is concerned. And I'm happy that we are seated here to deliberate on the same. So as we might deliberate, you will realize that there are so many things that we need to correct. To begin with, there is something that has become a common song, like you hear youth unemployment, but that is just a symbol. It's just a symptom of the big problem. Today, the youth are classified into a certain age. There are those ones who are not within that age, but they are yet to become youths. How do we trap the ones who are not yet into the dogma of the youth unemployment? If the youth are trapped into that unemployment syndrome, how about those ones who are not the youth yet, but they are going to become one? And how about those ones who have been in unemployment for some time and they are no longer youths? So you see that the equation is a big one, and we need to find maybe a solution if we can. So I'll be happy to deliberate and then share.
Dr. Saba, first of all, tell us, I've always wanted to know how you were able to finish 2 PhDs before the age of 30, because I personally get so many people who find PhD very, very difficult. You find people doing it for 9 years, 5 years, but before the age of 30, if I'm not misinformed, you had 2 PhDs. How possible was that? And regardless, being an entrepreneur that you are, being in business and being involved in the different other sectors, how could you balance that life?
Thank you, Anthony. Just to throw more light about that, it was before 35.
Wow.
The two PhDs were finished before 35.
Yes.
But I must say that it was a very rigorous experience. And it was a very selfless experience, because the reason why people spend too much time on the doctoral program is because it demands a lot. In fact, someone asked me that how do you labor to go into a very hot tunnel twice? Yeah, but I had to do a trade-off between what I wanted to achieve out of this process and then the challenges that come with it. But to answer your question, this was an opportunity that couldn't be left, because yes, it was very painful and labor demanding and labor intensive, but I must tell you that it demanded a very high degree of self-discipline, dedication, commitment, and ultimately hard work. So when I had to ensure that I combine all those, I merge all those, because just for your information, like everyone else knows, when we are studying into the doctoral program or the postgraduate education, there are so many factors that must be combined alongside the intelligence part of the program, and that is in particular the self-discipline. In one of the books that was written by Robert Greene, which is called The 48 Laws of Power, you realize that the author says that you should never outsmart your master. So there is no doctoral candidate.
Yes. That is better than the
who will prove to be smarter than their master and they graduate on time.
Does that inform why there are very few?
Surely.
Yes. So that the masters don't want to have many.
One time when I was in the UK, I received a call from one of my colleagues in Germany. He was trying to tell me that I think I'm very bright, but my professor is looking at me as if I don't know anything. And I'm trying to show him that I know what I'm doing, but I'm not graduating on time.
But doctor, is that a global issue? Is it a problem in Uganda? Because personally, I've heard this around the corridors that specifically the local universities here, the lecturers or PhD lecturers or the tutors to the PhDs to be seem to have a personal feeling in helping others be like them or even better. Is that true?
Now, we might not generalize that, but it ideally comes back to the personality sometimes. But the system has been designed to favor, most importantly, the one who imparts, who is the principal person who is guiding you. Because, for example, if I'm your father, by right I'm a senior to you. So if I'm your supervisor, by design, I have more rights than you.
And that is what the old system.
So, and if it finds a system that is designed to look at seniors as elders, then it gives them a leverage to take advantage if they can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor, for that one. And we are going to begin on that point right there, our discussion on the education sector.
Yes.
Very many people are looking out for these qualifications, and very many people have actually been able at least to get a bachelor's degree. But in themselves, they haven't seemed to be sufficient for the current job market, the demands in the job market, or the skills that people are looking for in the graduates are not yet, have not yet been actually achieved. And there's a mismatch between some of the skills that people go out there with what is actually in demand. We're going to return with that after this very short break. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking the education sector. As of course we get into the back to school season, what are some of the things that we need to pay more attention to in our education sector? My name is Anthony. We are taking a very short break. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.